How's everybody doing today? You are at my favorite place in the whole entire world, and totally am so pumped that you're all here. To those of you who have been admitted, the students, congratulations. To those of you who have decided to enroll next year, you've made a great decision, to echo Dr. Pano and Alex. I'd like to start off today by playing a game. Where will I be in 10, 11 years? Could I get the slide advanced real quick? Yeah, that's me when I was your age. That's May 2006. If you had told that guy right there where I'd be right now, it would have been a huge shock. I don't think that guy knew where he was going the next week, much less the next year. But if you told me that I would come to Fredericksburg, Virginia, go to a school called Mary Washington that at that point I'd only known for about a year, go on to become a team leader at a leading higher education marketing firm, I would have told you you're absolutely crazy. You can take that off now if there's something. Yeah, that's better. I even look kind of younger in that photo too. I visited this campus for the first time as a reluctant, long-haired lacrosse bro from Connecticut. And like I said, had really never heard of Mary Washington until my mom kind of found it in one of those Best Buy college books. It was on the list of best public values, and I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. But I really was quite reluctant. When I first pulled up to campus, we pulled into the bell tower area here. That bell tower actually wasn't even built the first time that I visited. And long story short, my mom actually had to walk around to my passenger side door and pull me out of the car. I owe a lot to my mom, and that is definitely one of the best things she ever did for me. We started walking down campus, and she sees a guy walking at me, and it turned out being a lacrosse player. She's an eye for our type, and let's be honest, it's not always that hard to pick us out, right? And she walked up to him. His name was Brad, and Brad actually gave us a personal tour of the university, introduced us to his friends, brought me to meet the lacrosse coach, and there was just this like palpable sense of community here right from the first time I walked down campus, and it was something that really resonated. You know, that sense of community is something that every single time that I come back to campus, I feel. It's resonating here, whether it's in athletics, the arts, community service, academics. People talk about it. It's kind of cool when you come here and you speak after the president and the student body president, and they say the same sort of things, and we didn't plan this, right? Like, this is a real thing, our community here at Mary Washington. And while the story of why I came to UMW is really kind of hilarious, I like to sort of look back at the reason I stayed. After my first 2 years on campus, I was having a great time. I was getting pretty good grades. I was meeting a lot of friends. I was playing lacrosse. Things were going well. Unfortunately, my junior season, I didn't make the lacrosse team. It was probably the worst thing that had happened to me to that time, and it was really tough. There was a lot of reasons that I said, you know, I don't want to be here anymore if I'm not playing lacrosse. I was mad at the coach. I was mad at myself for not working harder. But then I sort of put things into perspective, and I said, wait a minute, you didn't come to Mary Washington to play lacrosse. Your future is not in professional athletics. There's a lot of other reasons that you decided to come here. So having that perspective was really important. So I sort of picked up a valuable set of skills. I really had to pivot myself at that point and focus on a lot of other things. And those are the types of things that I remember. So I want to talk about a few of those things today, and especially parents, you know, kind of think about these things when you're talking to your students about maybe why this place could make sense for them. It's been 7 years since I graduated with my degree in international affairs. I have yet to hold a single diplomatic position besides, as Melissa mentioned, planning a wedding with my fiance. But I did learn things here that I do bring into my life every single day. The thing that I tell students and their parents when I talk to them about Mary Washington all the time is that my communication skills that I picked up here at Mary Washington are paramount to my professional success. The ability to speak and write clearly and effectively has been the most important thing for me in my professional life, whether it's preparing $1 million proposal for a client or just sending a concise internal email to my team. Those are the things that can really set you apart. You know, verbal communication is another place that in my life I've seen a lot of shortcomings, and I'm not just talking about the ability to be able to get on a stage and speak to a lot of people, but just in meetings at my company, folks who can't communicate their points, that'll really be something that'll kind of strap you into not advancing in your career. And those are the things that sort of I take back to my time here at Mary Washington, learning how to sort of get above the fluff. We live in this ultra-connected world now where everybody's communicated with the computer in their pocket. You have to be able to communicate face-to-face, emails, letters, proposals, all those things are so, so important. I remember my first review when I first moved to Richmond with my new manager. She was moving towards the end of the meeting, talking about all the things that we had kind of gone over. And she told me that, among other things, it was my communication skills that were starting to set me apart from the rest of my peers in my group. The ability within a year at the company to become a leader, both with my clients and with my team, had set me apart. She said, those are the things that we can't teach you. The things that are intangible that you bring to the table here that set you apart. And while I don't exactly believe those skills are intangible, I think they can be taught. And I made it a point to learn them while I was at Mary Washington. It was a challenge that was given to me by my professors, whether during class or in assignments. I think back to my senior year, I had a professor, Dr. Kramer, Jack Kramer, American Foreign Policy class. And this was a pretty standard class as a senior. There was 12 students. It was a seminar, a lot of discussion. Go home, read the text, bring back your thoughts, and don't just talk about what you read, but talk about why the author read it, why wrote it, why he wrote it the way he did, what does it connect to, that sort of next level thinking. So I walked into class one day my senior year. I felt pretty accomplished as a student at this point, and I'll never forget, Dr. Kramer sort of leaned back in his chair, and he said, "Hey, Dave, why don't you kick us off today?" Well, Dave hadn't done his reading the night before. Yeah. So this is when I learned the lesson of you can't always BS a point. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready to challenge yourself because you'll be challenged in the real world. And things like that, being challenged in a small class, my senior year by Dr. Kramer, those are the things that I remember. I actually still have Dr. Kramer's no-nos of writing in my desk drawer in my office. I think to other professors as well, folks maybe who didn't make as big of a mark on me in the classroom, but who made a mark on me as a person. There's a professor here, Teresa Kennedy. She's the type of person who will call you to make sure you're getting out of bed in the morning to go to class. She'll keep you after to work on assignments with you. She'll have you over to her house for dinner. And that's kind of the norm here, making those connections with professors. And there's countless others as well. Professor Al Takriti, who taught me Middle Eastern history. Doug Gately, great musical masterworks, awesome class. Kelly Slunt from chemistry, Porter Blakemore from European diplomatic history, the list goes on. Truly impressive faculty who become mentors and really end up being your friends. No teaching assistants or research faculty here. They're here to teach undergraduate students. That's their passion. They want to set you up for the future and being a successful professional down the line. And it's crazy, that future comes quickly. I really do remember my first week of class sitting in these very seats before many of the awesome new construction was built on campus. This is where we had our honor convocation, which we'll hear about at some point, a really important part of becoming a student. And I remember sitting here, standing up and singing the alma mater for the first time and sort of being like, I can't believe I'm here. But that'll come, and I still remember that so well. When I think to sort of the connections that I've made, both with friends, my fiance, of course, but also alumni, those are the things that help a lot. As Melissa mentioned, I'm pretty involved in Richmond in the alumni network, and it's really cool to go to those events and see the cross-section of different decades of people who have come through this campus and walked these halls. And the school has changed so much. It's even changed since I graduated 7 years ago. But there's always one thing that brings everybody back together, and it's that community. When I was looking for my company in Richmond, I was on the phone with the HR recruiter, and she actually said, "We have a VP here who's from Mary Washington. You should get in touch with her." So I did, and I ended up interviewing with her when I went down there, and she said to me, you already have a leg up being a Mary Washington grad. I know that you can think critically. I know that you're going to be, a good public speaker, a good communicator. Those are the types of things we want, and it's ever since then, we've come back here to campus to recruit more Eagles to come to our company. So those are the things that in the marketplace people are looking for. So, remember that. And the last thing I'll say is that you are hard-pressed to open up a newspaper these days and not see a really depressing story about, huge amounts of student debt, bad outcomes from students. I'm so happy to not be a part of those statistics, and I know that none of my peers at Mary Washington have become part of that statistic either. When I was looking at schools coming from New England, there were a lot of great options up there, but my father and my mother challenged me to find one sort of outside the norm, one that was making sense for our family. So look for that value, and that is something that, I mean, I can never thank this place enough for giving me that value, and of course not saddling me with a ton of debt. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great day today. Good luck wherever you end up, but I hope you all end up here next year. Have a great one.